I do hope you're not in bed as you listen to this telltale story of suspense. Lying in bed can leave one so defenseless, so helpless, can't it? Particularly when one is a patient in hospital. Take the case of the man in room 503 at the McKinton Hospital. The sheet that covered him could easily have become a winding sheet, a shroud, if you prefer it. And that's why I call this story Shrouds for Sale.
Yes, his condition is quite satisfactory. There's no further change at all. Thank you. Goodbye. Good evening. Could I help you?
Good evening. I'm Miss Kimball. Dr. Blackman asked me to report at 8 as night nurse for a private patient.
Oh, yes. Dr. Blackman's waiting for you. Across the corridor in room 23.
Thank you.
Come in.
Good evening, Dr. Blackman.
Ah, Miss Kimball. Good evening. Very glad you were available.
It was very good of you to think of me, Doctor. I haven't worked on a case of yours for some time.
That's true. When was it now?
It was the Hoffman case. Car crash.
Ah, yes, of course. That Hoffman woman. Terrible mess, wasn't she? Maybe this chap reminded me of her. All bandaged up the way he is. Same sort of thing. Car accident.
Was it his fault?
Huh? Oh, I don't really know. That's up to the police, not us.
Yes, of course, Doctor. I just wondered. There's so many car accidents these days. So much needless suffering.
Well, whoever was to blame, this fellow's completely helpless. In fact, he's lucky to be alive at all. The people in the other car were killed outright. His name's George Matthews. He was brought in early this morning, soon after the crash.
Is he in a private room?
Yes, 503. We've been on to his relatives by phone, but they won't be able to get here until tomorrow morning. But they've authorized us to give him any care we think's necessary.
You give me the impression that he needs considerable care, Doctor.
Yes, that's why I sent for you, Miss Kimball. I know your ability. Come and have a look at your patient. Evening, nurse.
Good evening, Doctor.
Is it a good story?
Story?
In the book you were reading. Good story?
Yes, Doctor. Oh, no, I mean...
Well, never mind. This is Miss Kimball. She's taking over now, so you'll be able to finish it in peace. Would you mind telling Sister that I'll be with her in a few minutes?
Yes, Doctor.
Well, there he is. I suppose it's understandable that a probationer would rather look at a book than at him. Not a pretty sight, is he?
You've wrapped him up very thoroughly.
Yes, the injuries are rather extensive. Multiple fractures, cuts, head injuries. We're not sure about internal damage yet, but you'll find the instructions regarding medication on the board there. Quite simple. I'm not giving him anything potent. Don't want any further shock.
He's very still. Is he paralyzed?
Yes. I hope it's only temporary. But he can't move or speak. And he'll have to be fed intravenously tomorrow. That will be Miss Cartwright's job.
So really, as far as I'm concerned, it will be an observation more than anything.
For tonight, anyway. You'll have to watch him very carefully, because he'll have no way of communicating with you.
Has he regained consciousness at all?
Not yet. I've left just the one eye exposed, so you'll be aware of it if he does wake up.
Shall I call you if that happens?
Oh, yes, please, immediately. Well, there you are. He's all yours. I think we have a good chance of saving this one. Not like that poor Hoffman woman. We won't have the same bad luck with this fellow. He should pull through, barring complications.
Let's hope there aren't any. He'll have enough to worry him later on, when he's well enough to think about those other people.
Those other people?
The ones he killed, Doctor, with his car.
Oh, I see. Well, our business is with the living. The others are beyond our help now.
Excuse me, Doctor. You're wanted on the phone. They put it through to Sister's room.
Thank you. I'm coming. Don't forget, Miss Kimball. Call me if he wakes up.
Yes, Doctor. Good night.
Good night.
All right, nurse. I'll take over now.
You're welcome. This one gives me the creeps, lying there all wrapped up like a mummy. He hasn't moved since I've been here. I keep on thinking he's dead.
No, it's the others who are dead.
Hmm?
You can go now.
All right. Sure there's nothing I can do for you?
No, thanks. You run along. I'll take care of things myself.
Of course I know the risk we're taking, but I think it's justified.
Listen, Doctor, I'm your lawyer, not your priest. I deal in legal rights and wrongs. What you're doing may be right morally, but legally you're taking a hell of a chance.
Not so big as the chance Matthews is taking.
Don't you believe it? You're a doctor, helping to run a hospital, not a private eye bureau. If anything goes wrong, you're the one they'll tear apart.
I've taken all possible precautions, and nothing should go wrong.
But if it does, I'm going to have to get up and try to justify what you're doing. And you know what they'll say? They'll say a doctor's business is with the living, not with the dead.
That's strange. That's exactly what I said to her a few minutes ago.
Where is she now?
She's just gone on duty. I better go and see what's happening.
You won't take my advice and get her out of there now?
No. I'm sorry. I'm letting things go the way they are.
Well, see you in court, and good luck.
Thanks.
Are you comfortable, Mr. Matthews? You can't hear me, can you? Poor Mr. Matthews. So far away with just that tiny peephole to the world. Why don't you open your eye and look at me? I'd like you to see me. I'd like you to wake up so that I can tell you what I'm going to do. Not yet? All right. There's no hurry. We've all night before us. You lie there and dream, Mr. Matthews. Dream of those other people you hit with your car. I'll sit here and wait. And don't worry, Mr. Matthews. I'll take care of you.
George Matthews, or what remains of George Matthews, lies motionless, as though dead, in room 503 of the McKinton Hospital. If life throbs beneath the stark bedsheet, it gives no sign. If there is heartbeat, respiration, or consciousness on the hospital bed, it cannot be discerned by the onlooker. The man is mummified, swaddled in bandages that encase all but an inch of his body. His legs are rigid in splints, his arms bandaged from shoulder to fingers, his head and face concealed by tightly wrapped gauze. Only one eye is exposed. Laura Kimball, leaning over the bed, waits for the first sign of returning life in her patient.
Mr. Matthews? Mr. Matthews? Oh, you're awake. That's funny. I thought you'd have blue eyes, but they're brown. A warm, supplicating brown, just like a spaniel, Mr. Matthews. Oh, you're asking for something. What is it? Do you want me to call Dr. Blackman? He said I should, but I don't think I will just yet. You can hear me, can't you, Mr. Matthews? You can hear what I'm saying. Oh, if you can hear me, Mr. Matthews, close your eye for just a second. Will you do that? Oh, that's wonderful. I'm so glad about that, Mr. Matthews. It would be a shame for you not knowing. That woman, she didn't know. Not a thing. I would have wanted her to know. That would have made it so much better. But she never recovered consciousness at all.
Want any more?
Hang on, don't switch off.
I'm waiting for a name, Hoffman. Make it louder.
Come round. And then I couldn't wait any longer. I wanted to talk to her, just as I'm talking to you. But she wouldn't have heard me, so it was no use. She was just like you, all covered in bandages and terribly hurt. But I'm sure she didn't suffer much, because she didn't know anything about it. And she deserved to suffer, though, because of what she'd done.
What's happened?
She's gone off mic. Sounds as though she's 8 feet away, down by the foot of the bed, I imagine.
Where is the mic?
Back of the bed, just pillow level. She's coming back now.
Electrical engineer. It's all down here on the top of the chart, Mr. Matthews. Oh, they're terribly thorough at McKinton. Always have been. I wonder where they got all this information when you couldn't talk. Oh, of course they phoned your relatives. They're coming to see you tomorrow. Won't they get a shock? Dr. Blackman left full instructions about medication, things I'm supposed to do for you. But he doesn't know how well I intend to take care of you, Mr. Matthews. I'm going to do you a great service, a kindness, really, one that should make you happier. Would you like to know what it is?
For Pete's sake, let's get in there.
What?
I'm going to kill you, Mr. Matthews.
You hear that? You can't just...
Shut up.
But she...
Shut up.
Don't you, Mr. Matthews? The others are dead. Killed. Mangled. And you, the one who's responsible, you lie here alive. Not fair. Not a bit fair. Death would be a mercy now, wouldn't it? You're frightened. I can see it in your eye. You're frightened because you have time to think about it. For those others, for Daniel, there wasn't time to think.
Who's Daniel?
I
All
don't know,
there
but I
was
think
for
we'll find
Daniel
out.
was
She'll tell us everything now.
All there was for Daniel was the quick, sudden end, without time or thought or prayer. But you can think, and that's what bothers you. Am I right, Mr. Matthews? That woman last year, it would have been right for her to know why she had to die. Damn you! You want to know why, don't you? Because of Daniel, that's why. Daniel, my husband. It was someone like you. It might even have been you who took him away from me in a flash, in a moment, in a single second. 5 years ago it happened, but I've never forgotten. Do you understand? I've never forgotten. I wait for ones like you, Mr. Matthews. You killers with your shiny cars and your speed and your recklessness. She was one of you, that woman. A man and his wife and an infant. She killed them. But her life was spared so that I could administer justice.
Everything okay?
Yes, thank you, Doctor. Everything's fine.
I was passing and thought I heard you talking to someone. Wondered if your patient had come to.
No, he's still unconscious. I was just thinking aloud, that's all.
We'd better not make a habit of it. We've got a special ward for patients who do just that. Well, good night.
Good night, Doctor. You wanted to tell him, didn't you? You wanted to ask for help. Oh, it was a good thing I stood in front of you so he couldn't see your eye. It's almost time for your medication, Mr. Matthews. The special medication I brought you. It's here in my bag. The hypodermic, too. You see, I thought of everything, Mr. Matthews. You won't find it painful. That woman, the Hoffman woman, slept her way into death when I gave it to her. And you will too, Mr. Matthews. I promise you that.
No, let me go. You couldn't move. They said you were paralyzed. Let me go. Let me go.
All right, Hoffman. I've got to take care of that hypodermic, Merritt. Well, Hoffman, you've proved your point. You said it would work, and it did. She's the one who killed your wife.
Poor Miss Kimball. Poor misguided upholder of justice. Hoffman still found it possible to pity her, even after his terrifying experience. And you can be quite sure that he remembered her long afterwards, particularly when he entered his car. You may care to reflect upon it yourself, bearing in mind how easy it is to be a purchaser whenever there are shrouds for sale. And now I'd like to tell you about the next charming little tale in this series of Telltale Stories of Suspense. It's entitled Call for the Corpse. Look out for it at your local store, and be sure you do not miss your copy of this next Telltale Story of Suspense for those with strong nerves.